"Your time has come, Santi," the guardian declared, its voice resonating with the force of the storm. "You shall be stripped of your beauty and wealth until you learn humility." Before the eyes of her terrified neighbors, Santi's form began to change. Her body twisted and contorted, her fine clothes shredded into tatters. In moments, she was transformed into a beast, resembling a mighty lioness. In the kingdom of Kumasu lived a beautiful and wealthy woman named Santi. Her home, a dazzling estate adorned with gold and precious stones, was a testament to her immense wealth and impeccable taste. Santi's rise to prosperity had been quite sudden. Once a humble village girl known for her kindness and generosity, she had inherited a fortune from a distant relative and had used her newfound wealth to improve the lives of those around her. Santi was known far and wide for her beauty and riches, but gradually her vanity overshadowed her virtues. She often boasted, "There is no one as beautiful and wealthy as I. My splendor is unmatched in all the kingdom." Initially, Santi had used her wealth to help those in need. She built schools, provided food for the hungry, and ensured that everyone in her village had access to clean water. Her generosity earned her the love and admiration of her people. But as time passed by and her wealth grew, so did her sense of self-importance. The more she helped people, the more people praised her, and soon her humility gave way to pride. The people of Kumaso, while awed by her beauty and wealth, whispered among themselves about Santi's growing arrogance. They feared that her pride would bring misfortune upon herself and the community. Unknown to Santi, these whispers had reached the ears of the spiritual guardian of the village, an ancient and revered figure known as Yah. One moonlit night, as Santi admired her reflection in a pool of crystal clear water, the air grew still and a faint rustling echoed through the trees. Suddenly, Yah appeared before her, an ethereal figure cloaked in flowing robes with eyes that glowed like embers. The guardian's voice, both commanding and soft, filled the air. "Santi," Yah intoned, "pride comes before a fall. Your vanity blinds you to the needs of your people." Santi, undeterred, laughed dismissively. "Who are you to lecture me? I am the most beautiful and wealthy. Nobody can bring me down. No God, no human." Yah's eyes darkened. "Beware, Santi. Heed this warning or face the consequences." And with that, Yah vanished, leaving Santi to ponder the encounter. But her own arrogance dismissed the guardian's warning as mere folklore, and she continued to revel in her own greatness. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Santi's arrogance only grew. She decreed that her portrait be hung in every village in the kingdom, and her beauty and wealth be praised daily. As servants, wary but obedient, carried out her commands, while the common folk grumbled in discontent. The once thriving community began to suffer. The schools, hospitals, and other buildings she had constructed began to decay. The walls of the schools cracked, roofs caved in, and the once lively classrooms became dangerous ruins. The hospitals, once bustling with activity and care, fell into disrepair. Their roofs leaked and equipment rusting. The wells she had dug became polluted, the water turning foul and undrinkable. The food she had generously distributed started rotting, spreading disease and attracting pests. The very people who had benefited from her kindness now found their lives at risk as their shelter, health, and sustenance were threatened. One day, Santi's most trusted friend, Amma, approached her with a heavy heart. Her face etched with worry, hesitated for a moment before speaking. She knew the weight of her words and the risk of confronting Santi's growing pride. "My dear Santi," Amma began cautiously, "have you not noticed the troubling patterns emerging around us? Look at the schools and hospitals you so generously built. Their walls are crumbling, roofs caving in, and the very foundations are failing. These structures, which once stood as beacons of hope and progress, are now in dangerous ruins. Even the lands you donated to the farmers, lands that once promised abundance, now lie barren and unproductive. The crops wither before they can bear fruit, and the soil, once rich and fertile, has turned to dust. Everything you have touched, everything connected to your generosity is falling apart." She paused, taking a deep breath to steady herself. "The quality of life for those who once benefited from your kindness is deteriorating rapidly. Illness spreads as the hospitals decay, and children sit unsafe in classrooms, their education disrupted. The wells you have dug have become polluted, and the food you once provided has rotted, leaving families hungry and desperate. Santi, people are murmuring. They are growing restless and afraid. Their whispers of discontent grow louder each day." Amma stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on Santi's arm. "I beg you, my friend, reconsider your actions. This prideful attitude of yours is a poison spreading through our village and causing untold harm. Remember, all that you have was given to you by Yah. If Yah can give, be sure that Yah can also take away, especially when what has been given becomes a curse rather than a blessing." Amma's voice softened, filled with a blend of sorrow and hope. "Santi, you have the power to change this. Humble yourself before it is too late." Santi waved her off. "Nonsense, Amma. These are mere coincidences. My splendor is as strong as ever." Even the king and the village chiefs tried to cancel Santi, but she dismissed them all. "I am above the king in wealth and beauty," she declared. "I have no need for your advice." But the murmurs of discontent grew louder. The village elders, desperate and fearful, decided to seek help from Yah. They gathered at the sacred grove, where the guardian was known to appear. Together, they chanted and prayed, calling upon the guardian for guidance. Yah, hearing their pleas, appeared before the elders. "Santi's pride has angered the spirit of the land," the guardian explained. "Only a humble heart can restore balance." The elders nodded solemnly, knowing that convincing Santi to change her ways would be no easy task. One fateful day, as Santi paraded through the streets in display of opulence, a fierce storm suddenly struck. The skies darkened and thunder roared. The wind howled, carrying with it an ominous sense of foreboding. The people scattered in fear as Yah appeared once more, towering and more imposing than before. "Your time has come, Santi," the guardian declared, its voice resonating with the force of the storm. "You shall be stripped of your beauty and wealth until you learn humility." Before the eyes of her terrified neighbors, Santi's form began to change. Her body twisted and contorted, her fine clothes shredded into tatters. In moments, she was transformed into a beast, resembling a mighty lioness. Her roar echoed through the community, not with power, but with despair. Banished into the forest, Santi wandered alone, living off and grappling with her new reality. Her days were filled with hardship, her nights with loneliness. She roamed the dense underbrush, hunted for her food, and slept under the open sky. Exposed to the elements, the once proud woman was reduced to a mere animal struggling for survival. During her exile, Santi witnessed the hardship of her community firsthand. She saw their suffering and felt their pain, the very consequences of her actions. She watched as the land she once held in pride now struggled to sustain itself. She saw the harmony of nature she once disrupted slowly beginning to mend itself in her absence. The season changed and a slow understanding and remorse began to fill her heart. One night, under the light of a full moon, Santi found herself drawn to the sacred grove where he had resided. The grove's ancient trees seemed to pulse with life, with their branches reaching towards the heavens like arms of ancient guardians. Santi knelt before the grove, a mighty form bowed in humility. "Yeah," she pleaded, her voice raw with emotion. "I have seen the errors of my ways. I have felt the suffering of my people and the land. Please forgive me." Ya appeared, its eyes softening as it looked upon the once proud woman. "You have learned the lessons of humility and compassion," the guardian said. "Rise, Santi, and restore balance to your community." In a flash of light, Santi was transformed back to her human form. She looked down at her hands, now calloused and raw from her time in the wilderness, and felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination. Weakened but enlightened, Santi returned to her home. Her neighbors who had grown accustomed to her absence were astonished to see her return. Whispers of her transformation spread quickly, and a sense of hope began to permeate the community. Santi, now deeply moved and filled with remorse, immediately set about rebuilding her life with a humble heart. Focusing on the well-being of her people and the land. Her first decree was to remove the portrait of herself from every corner of the village. With renewed determination, Santi invested her wealth in repairing and rebuilding the schools and hospital that had fallen into disrepair. She personally oversaw the project, working alongside the villagers and demonstrating her commitment to their shared future. Santi also addressed the issue of fair distribution of resources. She implemented a system to ensure that her donations of food, clothing, and other essentials reached every household in need. She engaged with her community, listening to their concerns and involving them in decision-making processes. Her humility and willingness to learn from her mistakes earned her the respect and trust of her people. As Santi's effort took roots, the transformation was remarkable. The once barren fields began to flourish again, rich with crops and vibrant greenery. The rivers which had run dry and polluted now flowed freely, their waters clear and pure. Wildlife returned and the sounds of nature filled the air, signifying the restoration of natural balance. The people of the village, now well fed and healthy, looked upon Santi with a newfound admiration. They no longer saw her as a figure of beauty and wealth, but as a leader of wisdom and compassion. A journey from arrogance to humility became a story of inspiration and a reminder of the power of redemption and importance of community. Under Santi's guardians, the village thrived. The schools and the hospital became centers of learning and healing once more, and the sense of unity among the villagers grew stronger each day. Santi's legacy was no longer her riches or her beauty, but her dedication to the well-being of her people and the land they called home. And so, my audience, the tale of Santi and her journey from pride to humility comes to a close. Through our experiences, we see that arrogance can lead to a downfall. However, through humility and self reflection, one would see the errors of one's ways and begin to make amends, for there is always a path back to righteousness. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, be kind and stay blessed.